friends. So, in last week's video, we talked about how quite often people use the words "you've changed" as code for "you've stopped letting me control you." If you saw that video already, then you know that a lot of the conversation in it was talking about manipulation and people who use those kinds of tactics for a variety of reasons. To get ahead off someone else's back, to take advantage of others, to try to make themselves feel bigger by making someone else feel less than, and so forth. But dealing with people who are manipulative is difficult. It's almost never a cut and dry situation. The behavior is very complex and not always obvious. The people who act that way are often very good at hiding the true motives behind their actions, too. So I thought this video might be a good follow-up, so we can discuss some of the things about manipulative people, which are, I think, a little more difficult to detect. But they are things that are extremely important to pay attention to. Much like diseases, early detection is key to saving, except in this case you are saving your mental health, your peace of mind, and your sense of self. So let's dive right in. Number one, they rarely ever look like a typical villain. You know that cartoon idea of a manipulator or a bad guy, the one who's twirling a mustache and cackling in the corner? That's fiction. In real life, manipulators are nothing like that. They are charming. They are funny and self-depreciating, even real and seemingly vulnerable. That's part of how they get in. It's important to understand this. The most effective manipulators aren't obvious. They often show up as helpers or good guys. The mask is the method. So, if you're thinking, but they're so nice, I want you to know that niceness is not the same thing as kindness, and it is definitely not the same thing as safety. Number two, manipulators are givers, at least on the surface. It's not uncommon for people who are manipulators to proclaim themselves to be very giving people. This is especially true in the beginning of a relationship. They work very, very hard at creating this image, sad to say. Sad to say because some of the most manipulative people I have ever known also consistently sell themselves as generous, altruistic, giving people. They are going to tell you all about that generosity of theirs too, almost a little bit too much sometimes. The thing is, though, that one thing manipulators usually are not is dumb. So they are often very calculated about what they give to others. I don't mean only material things, by the way, though that can certainly be a way to manipulate. I mean things like time, attention, flattery, affection. Manipulators do not mind giving these things, especially when you are in that early stage of a relationship, because it's a kind of leverage. The more that you seem to want and like those things, the more they're probably going to give them to you. But it's only because they see those things as tools to get what they want from you later. Number three, manipulators are selfish. This might sound like a blanket statement, but I have yet to meet someone who is a good manipulator that is also not an extremely selfish person. I'm not talking about being selfish with money or material things or their space even, etc. I'm talking about things that are much more profound than that. Like people who entertain friendships or even romantic relationships so that they can get attention or feel validated or make somebody else jealous. People who, when they need something, will call you and text you and show up at your door or whatever it takes to get your attention or to get that thing that they want. Maybe what the thing they want is to just gossip or trauma dump. Then, when that's finished, and you are not of use to them, you can go back to being invisible and they don't think about you. And when it's your turn to need something, forget it. They're nowhere to be found. They always want to take up space in your life and be your priority. But you are never a priority in theirs. Hell, you aren't even in the top 10. You will often hear manipulative people talk about how much they care about other people. That is a bit of a stretch. They care about people, all right, but it's really not people, it's really just one person, themselves. Number 4, manipulators never surround themselves with other manipulators. Maybe it's a like recognizes like thing, or maybe it's because they don't like competition. But you will rarely ever see someone who is a manipulator surround themselves with other manipulators. I believe the reason is actually this: to be around other manipulators runs the risk of a power struggle, and manipulators do not like those. They like to feel in control all the time and in an unchecked manner. They do not like it if someone else tries to manipulate them, but they really, really hate it when someone tries to manipulate another person that they felt like they had exclusive control over. Number 5, manipulators learn how to isolate people from one another. Manipulators often want you to need them, emotionally, financially, mentally. So, they will say and do things that might discourage your independence, even if it's subtle, such as, "Are you sure that you can handle that on your own?" Or, "You always need my help with that." It almost sounds like it's being truly helpful and not nefarious at first, but trust me, most of the things they do are transactional. There are always strings attached. Their goal in creating that dependency is to make you question your own competence and tie your sense of safety to them. So you stick around. So they can keep controlling you, of course. If you are in a romantic relationship with a manipulative person and they realize someone in your life is not supportive of them or of the relationship, they will often begin to cause tension between you and that person. They will do this strategically. They will plant small seeds of frustration so that you believe it is actually your idea to distance yourself. They will often say something like, "You deserve better." Of course, what they mean is that they are that better. The kind of separation that manipulators will create is sometimes even actual physical separation. They will suddenly want to move as far away as possible from your friends or your family or whoever it is they feel might be onto them or doesn't like them, as we mentioned. They will try to make you think that it was all your idea, too. And look, sometimes you will have relationships in your life that you have outgrown or that really aren't good for you at all, but you just let them be because they've just been there for so long. And someone will come along and see the forest for the trees a lot better than you can and point out that, hey, maybe that isn't good for you. Maybe you need a little space from that or those people. That is caring, not manipulation. And that usually comes from a good place. But when you meet someone and you have been dating for like 6 months and they want you to move to Antarctica because they don't like your friends, your family, your neighbors, your cat, and your mailman, that should raise an immediate red flag. Isolation is not just a manipulation tactic. It's an abuse tactic that is designed to take you away from your support system so that the manipulator can keep manipulating and can continue to treat you badly, but this time with less people around to notice. Trust me on this one. Number 6, manipulators thrive in chaos. If you're constantly second-guessing yourself around someone, if you leave conversations feeling more uncertain and confused than when you walked in, that's not a communication issue. That's a strategy, one that most manipulators are very good at. They will contradict themselves. They will deliver mixed messages. They will tell you one thing and literally the opposite in the same damn conversation. And when you question it, they will say things like, "Don't pay attention to what I'm doing. Listen to my words." If you think that that last statement is ridiculous and that nobody would ever say that, let me tell you right now, someone said those exact words to me once. And no, I didn't buy it because I'm not a damn fool. I mean, come on. But anyway, some other things that they will say might sound something like this. "That's not what I meant. You misunderstood." Or, "You're overreacting. It's not a big deal." Or, "You're too sensitive." These phrases don't clarify anything they have said or done. They only invalidate and attempt to destabilize your reality on the situation. And of course, when you're destabilized, you're a lot easier to control. Number 7, manipulators are always insecure. This is another one that might seem like a blanket statement, but listen, people aren't manipulators because it's fun and amusing. They do it because they have a deep-seated need to control something. And as we have discussed many times on this channel, the more controlling someone is, the more it indicates that they are not in control of themselves. Insecurity always makes you feel like you aren't in control. And as we already talked about, that is a manipulator's worst nightmare. So is someone finding out about their insecurities. I mean, look, nobody is out here wearing a t-shirt that says, "Ask me about my insecurities." Even though we all have at least some people. Come on. But most people don't go to the great lengths that manipulators do to hide them. All of this is usually what drives that need to manipulate in the first place. Feeling insecure and less than. So they search for someone else that they see as beneath them in some way. Someone that they think is easy to control. The thing is, though, that sense of security that they think they're getting from controlling somebody else is completely hollow and false. It should never take controlling another person to make someone feel secure. Number 8, manipulators are masters of presentation. The best skill that a manipulator has is no doubt their ability to give a fantastic presentation, to put on a great show. A great manipulator has learned the art of presenting what they want other people to know, and in a very specific manner. Nothing is said without thought. It is all part of their carefully curated optics. Manipulators are very careful to not let people see the real or ugly parts of themselves, or give any clues to what their true motives are. Remember this, nobody can be in presenter mode forever. The closer you get to a manipulator, the more you will feel like you need to be a part of that show that they put on too. You will find yourself defending them and even describing them in ways that aren't reality. That's the part where you need to do something to fix that. Number 9, manipulators are very afraid to be alone. Look, nobody wants to be alone or rejected, but especially not manipulators, because most of them know that they have these characteristics, and that those characteristics, meaning the tendency to manipulate, is not attractive or desirable to other people. So they will go to great lengths to make sure they won't be left or abandoned or rejected. Here's where those presentation skills come in most handy. They use them to make themselves appear perfect so that everyone who knows them superficially will love them and think that they are the best person ever. The more you get to know them, though, and see behind that presenter mask, the more they will take their control up a notch and bring in under other tactics to keep you right where they want you, and that is under their thumb. A manipulator will always have a response when somebody rejects them. There most certainly will be some kind of retaliation too. They will use their skill to show others why that other person is actually the one who is bad or not worthy of love or whatever. They will flat out try anything they can to make that person pay for their decision to leave. Strangely enough, you see this happen in situations where it seemed like the manipulator didn't even really like that other person that much. That's because it's not about the other person at all. It's about the leverage. It's kind of like a grown-up version of, I don't want you, but I don't want anybody else to have you either. Again, it's all about who controls the narrative. And number 10, manipulators are great at playing the victim. They weaponize suffering and take it all on for themselves. They are always the misunderstood one, the wronged party, the hero in their own story. And this is true in stories that you are in, and also ones that you are not. You can learn a ton about people's true nature by listening to them describe their relationships with others. When you meet someone who tells you that they are always the one who gets dumped or left, or all of their exes are crazy, or they are always the one who gets taken advantage of and left with nothing, and who always falls on their sword to protect others who are just ungrateful in the end and betray them, or whatever other dramatic scenarios they come up with, you have to start asking yourself, is this person just really super incredibly unlucky? Is everyone just out to get them? Meanwhile, they offer nothing that they might have done wrong in any of these scenarios because they did everything perfectly, according to them. So, could it be that all these other people are the problem every single time? Or should we look at what the common denominator is in all of these situations? Could it be that the problem is them? Chances are you already know the answer. Being the perpetual victim is their pattern. And when the story gets to the chapter where you come in, well, even when they are the ones that cause the harm, somehow they're still the ones who have been hurt. If you try to hold them accountable, suddenly you're the problem now. You're being mean, and you're attacking them. This constant victim stance is not an accident. It is a strategy to avoid accountability and manipulate your empathy. I left that one for last for a reason, because it is probably the most common way that people manipulate you, and it's the one that's the most difficult to break out of because there's all this emotion involved in it too. So if you don't take away any of the other 9 points, I hope that you at least take that one into heavy consideration. So there you have it. And I'll leave you with this. Manipulation is one of those things that requires your participation in order for it to work. This is a game you probably won't win. So it's always wisest to just not play. And keep your boundaries tight, because most manipulators will not just say, oh, well, they're on to me, gotta go. They almost always keep trying to recapture that grip on you. throwing everything that they can your way in the process, including guilt trips and love bombs and smears and character assassination. You name it. But sometimes manipulators are like clowns at the circus. They need an audience to thrive and to keep them going. So as long as they have one, they're going to do just that. They're going to keep performing. You can't get mad at clowns for doing that because they're just acting like clowns. But you can stop watching them. And you can certainly stop going to that circus. That's all I've got for you this week. I'll be back next week with another priority message. Until then, take good care of yourselves. Bye.